Alright, so here is the video review for Fans Hobby Master Builder MB-08 Double Evil, aka Overlord. Now this is going to be, he's giant. He does barely fit robot-wise in this review space under the lights. So we're going to do him here. A caveat right off the beginning, there may be some stuff that I click together off camera. I think it's just something we're all going to have to accept. I will do my best to bring anything I'm connecting on camera and keeping things in focus when I can. It will be mostly when we get to base mode. There may be some stuff going on off the sides, but I will try to focus on something at least briefly and say, this piece is going to connect to this piece. I just need to move over here to do it. Like I said, I will try to minimize that, but some of that stuff may happen. So I can only have one piece of these guys up here at a time. Here is Evil, I guess. It comes in two boxes. Evil is on this box, Double is on the other box, and when you stack them, it makes a really cool picture of the combined robot. But Double Evil, here's the tank half of Double Evil. It says Power Tank there on the front. Some standard kind of Fans Hobby branding around the tank, which is actually really cool. The turret does raise up and down, and despite the fact that this whole thing splits in half, it does have a rotatable turret. Now, it does not rotate a full 90 degrees, or a full 360 degrees, but it does go about a full 90 degrees, about 45 degrees in either direction from the front. So you can hear it ratcheting and clicking, and that's really cool. They found a way to make that work. You do have Mega in here, driving the tank. There's a little steering wheel that can lift up and also rotate. Again, I don't know how often you're actually going to play with that inside there. It's mostly for display, but it is kind of neat that it is functional in there. The rubber treads do roll. Mine are a little tight. There may be something, I don't know if there's something catching up in there or just I need to lube something. But they are real rubber treads, and they can actually roll once you get them going. And maybe if I just rolled them more often and worked them, they'd start rolling a little better. But yeah, another little neat feature, mostly used for base mode. There's a little missile launcher here that can open up and come up. You can see there's three little missile pods in there, but they're not just molded. There actually are three little slidable missiles that come out. So be careful you don't lose those. I don't mind keeping those on the figure because, well, at least when that's closed up, they're self-contained and they're not going to go sliding anywhere, but hey. So there's the tank half. I'm gonna go. Let me grab the jet. We'll do a brief overview of the jet, and then we'll start going to base mode. It's easier to go from vehicle mode to base mode to robot mode than any other way. And here comes the upper half, and it is huge. I just knocked a couple of his missiles off, so hey, fun. But yeah. So here's the jet from tip to tail. It does not fit comfortably within my frame of reference. It's very big. Now, only from about here back, this seam right here back is a robot mode part, and all this is the arm shield attachment piece tower for combined mode. That's just the nature of Overlord, and I get it. That this is like any complaints I have about the proportion of this to everything else. It's not Fans Hobby's fault. That's just the design of the character, and we're just gonna have to live with that. If you want an Overlord, I'm gonna put these missiles back on. These missiles are not self-contained. They just kind of slightly slot into the wings here. And these will probably be left in a bag. If they were launching, if they had some function, they're decorative in base mode, and then they can store on the robot. Like, that's one of the things that is neat about this guy is all of the bits that you need to make all of the modes all store safely. Well, okay, to some degree safely. Like I said, these missiles just kind of clip in everywhere they are, and it will probably be the easiest thing to lose. But you can store all the parts for all the modes in all the modes, which is very cool. So, jet, again, not a whole lot on the jet. This gun turret can, the piece it's on angles, and you can rotate it side to side. And these cannons collapse or extend, so if you don't want those extended, you can have it just up by itself. If you don't like the way it looks angled up, you can turn it around and just kind of stow it backwards. However you want, yeah, you can do with that gun. And that's about it for posability in jet mode. Though, you know, the fins are on hinges. He does have some wheels. You can stow the wheels away if you want to swoosh him around, and he is fun to swoosh. I can confirm. But yeah, outside of that, there's not a whole lot. He's a jet. He's fun to swoosh. That's really all you need to know. And then you've got Giga up here. Same kind of rotating steering wheel up in the cockpit. And then a little Giga with gold back. Now to go to base mode, I guess we'll go ahead and start this. We'll go ahead and take our pilots, our power pilots as they're called, out of their respective vehicles, and we're gonna start doing this. So, like I said, it's easier to go from vehicle mode to base mode. And for the jet here, one of the first things we wanna do is click up, so you can see that missile's already fallen off again. Because like I said, there's no, they don't tab in. There's just a couple of, can this fold up this way? You can see there's just a couple of little slots here and here, that just kind of friction fit on the front and rear fins. It's not the most secure connection. And like I said, a lot of these missiles are probably gonna, most of the time, live in the packaging or the baggie with the instructions in it, because these are just gonna be way too easy to lose. I'm gonna show you where they go in all these modes. Like for base mode, they're just going to basically flip around like this, but we'll get to that. So for base mode, the first thing we want to do, let's go ahead and pop this gun off. There's a little button right here that helps you to pop this whole assembly off, because it kind of slides in and then friction locks. There's a depressing piece, or depressing. When I say depressing, I mean like it's a piece you can depress and not a, oh man, I'm so sad about that piece. But you basically want to pull this whole top part off. You push this button down, and very gently, you got to kind of click it forward and lift up to get it to pop off. There we go. Because you don't want to break these tabs. These tabs are super strong. I've had no issues with them so far. When you go to jet mode, you can see there's a couple little slots here, and you gotta kind of put this over his head, slide those down to the slots, and then click this piece in. Little spring latch underneath this piece to snap it all together. So be gentle carrying it off, because I did the first time. I got it to pop off, and it also popped his head off the ball joint and sent it flying across the room. So be careful when doing that. So pop this off. We're going to set that off to the side for a minute. We're going to focus on the back of the body here. Most of the stuff's going to stay where it is, and this is why I'm talking, well, it's going to come back to this position. So note how everything is folded and tabbed in here as we do this. This piece right here flips down and around and is going to become a support. The arms, just untab them. They're pegged in right here. We'll go ahead and get this was tabbed in to the arm here. Crane arm, we'll set that off to the side. But untap it from this, bring it out, lift the arm straight up. The tips of these cones suppress just that far, and you need just that tip to support the base mode. And it's kind of, like if you put this on carpet, that tip is small enough that you might have a wobbly base mode, because that's not really providing a lot of surface material to support it. On a hard flat surface, that tip is all you need to support the base mode properly. Open up this door, rotate this wheel around, close it back up, and then we're just going to fold up the wing, and it just clipped right into there. Same over here. Untab this arm, rotate it up, bring it up. We're going to fold the wheel in, stick it straight up, have it sit on that tip, and then this is what I was talking about. You fold this back around on this double hinge, and then there's a tab here that's going to tab here into the arm. And that's all you do here for this piece. Untab this panel right here. There's two tabs here that tab into the back of his thighs, basically. Lift this whole panel up, and again, these two pegs peg in up here when you're going back. And flip out these two green panels here. And then also, if this is not 100% necessary, but if you want to not have a gap here in base mode, there's a little panel here that you can flip up and rotate around to fill in that gap. Just make sure that when you're going back, you fold that up and around before you fold all of these panels back up into the body. or it will, you could risk breaking it. So, but there's a little panel here you can flip out to fill in that gap on both sides. And then bring that back down, and this is all going to peg back together. You're going to peg these two things back up into these two slots, and then these tabs are going to tab right back into the back of the thighs. I have found that if you get those two tabs into the back of the thighs, everything else will pretty much line up. And you want these panels to kind of sit. You don't want them to come straight down. You want these to kind of come down and then angle out as much as you can get them, because they do have a point where they stop moving. Don't push them further than that, they'll break. But there's a little tab on the end of this that's going to tab into each of the legs. And then to attach the tower here, there is, you can see there's like a little L-shaped brackets here. And those are going to fit into these L-shaped brackets here. So you basically want to come in on top, slot this down into here, and then once that's done, there's also a tab on the side of this right here. It's kind of, light's not catching it, right there, that's going to tab into the back of the arms here. So let's plug this in here, and then come back here and tab it into the arm, tab it into the arm. Leave these panels open. Take the missiles. Like I said before, again, friction fit, but just basically they go on backwards of the way they went in jet mode. They're mostly decorative. Like I said, I highly recommend, unless you just really love the missiles or you think you're gonna have fun pretending to shoot them, because you see even here, like some ways they just don't lock in very well. Keeping them in the box. It's nice that they included them, but they don't stay very well, and they're not super impressive really in any mode. But they're there, so we're going to use them. And then lift this up just a little bit, because right here under the cockpit is a little panel that comes out. There's a gun you can lift up, flip up the controller handle, extend the barrels, and you can slide that back, but you've got a little armament gun here on the tower. And as of right now, we've got the jet half of him ready for base mode. It looks just like that. For the tank in base mode, we'll go ahead and we'll put him up here. You either have him stand or sit, but you can sit him in there, and you can kind of fold the gun back into his lap, or however, but he can, Mega here, or Giga here, can man the gun in the base. Tank, let's go ahead and slide this off to the side here so I've got room to mess with the tank. This gets fun. So right here, you just take this panel off to form his mid-ramp. So pop that off. His gun, his larger gun, stores right here. So go ahead and it pegs in here and then back over here. But just one of the treads, just move one of the treads, and that'll give you enough to wiggle out his gun. Now this is his gun for his large robot mode. It folds into this compact little chunk, and then you just extend it, fold this down, fold that down, make sure this is all the way out, and there's his rifle. It does end up being a little small proportionally to the robot, but the way it stores is pretty cool, so I'm willing to forgive it. And then you can have it. I personally like to for base mode, I like to shorten it a little bit because it works better as a smaller gun emplacement. And just like Power Baser, he's got the little swiveling attachment at the base of the handle, so you can swivel it in base mode. But we'll get to that. And then for the tank, really you come under here, and you're just going to take it and split it in half like that. Super simple. There you go. Pop. He's in two halves. And then from this point, all you do, you lift this up, the turret. You can see the half of the rotational gimmick there. Flip this panel up and around, and then fold this down and just line it up so that pegs in there. And then you fold down a couple of little support struts here on the side of the tank. That's one side done. Now, again, on carpet, these are not thick enough to really provide support. So again, these pieces might wobble a little bit. The rubber treads are stiff enough that you might get some wobble if you don't have this on a hard surface. But if you're putting it on a table, you should be fine. Do the same thing on this side. The only thing different is that if you want, you can leave this gun deployed for base mode. Officially, you just fold it in and rotate it in like that. You can leave it deployed, and I'll swing it out here when we get to that. But again, just flip this up, open this up, and line this up to tab into here so it's supported. And on this side, we want to reach in here. Sometimes it helps before you do that, and flip up this little post here. And then once that's done, and this is where the part where I was saying like I may need to do some stuff off camera. Right here, there's a slot. Oh, we got to flip down his support struts too. And it's going to match up to this tab under here. So basically, you just on each side, you just come over and tab this into the base like that, and that'll bring the arms out. I'm going to do the same thing. I guess you can still see it. So that's actually not as bad as I thought. So you bring that out. Bring this down here a little bit. I'm going to pan out, don't worry. This big ramp here has a tab on the end, goes right into a slot here at the front of this. Should touch the ground, and then swing it over here to the right a little bit. Focus right here, you can see some of my stuff in the background. But that little post we flipped up, this little crane arm, his claw, only one half of the claw moves. There's no hinge here, but like it's got a couple of different hinges in it. Attaches right here, and you can swivel it around on the base for repairs, however you want. Again, you can flip that cannon out. I think it's a little bit of overkill. The small black cannon, the post on that, you can plug in right here on the front of this. You can hide Mega in here to drive things. And then, like I said, this has that little swiveling turret. There's a little square piece right here. Actually, on either side, you could put it behind the claw arm as well, but you can put this gun up, and because of the hinge and the handle, you can have it angle up and rotate and point out as well. And then have like, so you can have Giga down, or Mega down here. You can have Mega standing behind this gun. There's a little slot. You could have Mega standing behind manning this gun. But there is the base mode for Double Evil. It's pretty sizable and pretty cool. Oh, you know what I forgot? I absolutely forgot two things on the base mode, because everything stores so well that I forgot about these, and I'm going to do it right now. So one, you can flip up these little missile pods. Great. But these two halves here of the tank, there's a panel here that lifts up to have his radar dish, and then this panel here lifts up to have one of his other radar dishes. Come on. There we go. Just pop them out. Make sure you're not collapsing anything there. Everything plugs together. And then these two dishes, you can plug them into either side. Plug in to the thrusters. I forgot his... There you go. There you go. Forgot his dishes. So there's his base mode. And it's quite cool. To continue, we'll go ahead and fold up some of these weapons. Get our power pilots out of there. We'll go ahead and take this and re-extend it into the full rifle, because that's how we'll be needing it for the robot mode. Set that off to the side. Take this crane, you fold it up. If you plan on storing it, like I said, if you don't ever plan on really using the base mode, some of these pieces you can just, like, again, store in a baggie or the box. But fold that crane up so the claw goes in there. It doesn't make a perfect square, but just fold it up like that. That's how you're going to want it. That's how it's folded up to store on the jet as well. Go ahead and take this double barrel blaster, collapse it down, and we'll set that off to the side. we will go ahead and we'll take these and place them back in their respective slots. Next one actually has a little tab to go in. Go in your space, there we go. Close those up. Go ahead and close those up as well, because you will very easily lose those missiles transforming this. We'll go ahead and take this ramp off. We'll go ahead and take these missiles off because this is not where they're going to be in robot mode. If you do choose to store them in robot mode, fold this back up. Come on, there we go. And then detach the two halves of the tank, and we'll go ahead and take the upper body of the robot and set it off to the side while we work on the tank legs. So the tanks, to go from the tank halves, 2 legs, flip this back out, lift up, untab this from underneath here, and lift it up. Reach under here and pull foot down like this, and when you get about halfway, rotate it all the way around. This panel right here is double clicky. It folds in for tank mode. Go ahead and extend it out for robot mode. Doesn't make a huge difference stability wise, it's more cosmetic. Flip this up, flip the heel out like that. You can see there's rubber pads on both the heel and on the toe to help keep them stable. And then go ahead and flip this small piece out like this. Continue bringing the foot all the way around, fold it up and snap it together like that. Unpeg all this stuff back here. So unpeg that from the green piece. And once you've got the foot out of here, you can bring the tank tread, fold it in half. You actually want to, you can do this once it's folded in half, but untab this from the top here. And then this whole assembly slides into the leg until it clicks into place like that. Take the thigh piece, slide it out. This panel here just folds down onto the side. Straighten this panel at this hinge, and then fold this whole assembly into the back of that panel. Fold up the peg hole in this panel. Bring this down and around like this and just push it onto the thing. This whole assembly slides down the leg like this, extends out right here, and then you just kind of collapse it down so that these tabs peg into these 2 slots right here. So fold it down onto the side of the leg like that, and then take this panel, fold it up so that these 2 tabs tab into the teal up here, and then fold this front piece down, and then you've got an Overlord leg. And we'll go to the, and it's this exact same on the other side, with the exception of if you have the turret extended, you don't have to fold up the turret, because the turret is only on this side of the thing. But it's the same thing in reverse. So go ahead and open this up, fold this down. You don't have to fold in that one piece, obviously. Flip this up, untab this, and the only extra thing on this side is there's a small panel over here that needs to fold all the way in as well. That just fills in the gap in the back. So fold that down, bring that down, pull it down, again, untab this and slide it in. Oh wait, forgot, you have to get the foot out first. That is vital. Once the foot's out, you can slide that back in. Fold this up. Bring the foot down, rotate it around. If you don't accidentally activate that when you're transforming it, go ahead and do that now. Bring it all the way forward, flip the heel up, fold out the extra heel piece with the rubber on it here, and then fold out the little toe piece like that. Make sure that's together, fold that together, slide the thigh out, and then same thing here, slide it down, extend to this piece here, and collapse it so it tabs together, and there is his other leg. So there you go. We've got the lower half of him done. So let's go ahead and take those out, set them off to the side here. By side, I mean down here on the floor. And we will now focus on the upper half. So we just basically, again, just detach, untab it from here and here, and then lift it up. On this piece, go ahead and open this up. These two panels open them up wide, and then make sure the landing gear is stowed away. We'll get to this here in a minute, but that's pretty much all you have to do for this to be the shield. Over here, untab again this piece from the thighs, fold those two tail fins down, flip this up, and also it's important here. This is on a double hinge. The missiles are going to slot in here to store. So, and if you want them to do so hassle-free, because if you don't get this up, they'll start hitting against this. So you want to make sure you bring this this double hinge like all the way up and around, so that this piece now sits kind of flush with this up here. If it sits, you've got some wiggle room, but if you don't get this up when you put the missile in, it's either going to make this piece bend or it's going to bump against this and it's going to pop those missiles out easier if you do want to store them on the robot. So lift that up. Again, like I said, make sure you fold these small black panels in before you fold these all up. Fold them until, because you can see there's a big black tab here. Fold them till you get over that tab and then fold these around in the end. If you try to fold those in half first, it doesn't want to fit over that tab. So you gotta leave a little bit of room for it to clear that before you fold that in, and then it will collapse up into there. So take that, we'll bring the arms down. We'll go ahead and take, you take this gun, go ahead and just plug it back into his back here. And then this whole assembly right here folds up. And again, you can see there's a couple slots or tabs here. Folds up and tabs together onto his back like that. Go ahead and turn his head around if you want. Face frontwards. And like I said, you can store the missiles here. They actually are a little bit more solid here because these slots grip the entire lower fins. They're just kind of pinching a small part of it. And as long as you have that panel up the way I was showing you, there's less chance of them bumping into this panel as you move them around and knocking them loose. Still not the safest way of storing them, but if you're one of those people who likes to have all the parts at any given time, this is how you do it. And those just store right there. Take this panel, the ramp from underneath the tank, pull out this section. It seems weird, but it's the only way that you can get this panel to fold completely in half. And then there's two tabs on this section. You can store this, again, right up under here. There's some tabs under this slot to tab this into. If I can get it lined up right. There we go. No, I was right the first time. There we go. So you can lock that onto the back. It should be sitting, okay, maybe you don't need to have this quite up as tight as I have it. All right, fine. I guess you do want a little bit of wiggle room there. So you do want to make it have enough so that it doesn't sit, so there you go. So the missiles don't bump. But there is clearance there to bring that down a little bit. That's my fault. And again, if you're not going to go to base mode that much, you can get away with not storing it back there, but it really is pretty much hidden by all the other stuff. And then fold that piece, that support piece in. Moving ahead along to the upper body, you can see we're just about done here. So come around here. These turbines, you can see there's a little tab here. You lift it up off this tab and rotate it around until you hit the next tab over here, and that rotates them down. You can kind of see it went from up here sitting into to fit the turbine onto the shoulder, and you want to do that on both sides. plug that down. Like that. And that gives you, once that's out of the way, you've got the clearance to move this. Before we do that, I want to untab the wings so they're not blocking this. This panel right here, you want to fold down onto the shoulder pad. Again, so you can fold this whole piece up. It's a double hinge too, so you gotta make sure it lines up right. There we go. And then untab it from the arm here and rotate. You gotta get, it's kind of a pain in the butt because you gotta move several things out of the way here. If it's not working, if you're just having trouble getting clearance, come back here, lift this piece up and slide it up. That'll let you bend the arm a little bit to fold the shoulder pad up. This piece rotates, but you're supposed to stay straight like that. So rotate that shoulder pad up. Same on this side. Let's go ahead and pop this out. Slide this panel up, which will let us move the arm, which will let us rotate the shoulder pad all the way up, provided we don't, there we go, bump the turbine off. So flip that up. Coming together. So with this panel open, you can unpeg this whole assembly, flip his fists out. This turbine, or this engine back here, is actually tabbed in with a small tab back here. So make sure to bend it just a little bit and then rotate it around so the tab is now on the opposite side. And then fold that in, and then close up the forearm, and then fold this up and tab it back in there. And that kind of locks that whole assembly together. And then we do the same thing on, oh, one of his missiles came off again. Same thing on this side. Open this up, pop this up, rotate it 180 degrees, fold it in, flip out his fist, close it up, and lock it up here. Knocked another missile off. Again, I don't like these. There we go. Keep it all straight, but. So there is his upper body without any attachments. To attach his legs, it's very simple. We're going to bring him in, and again, this may happen up above the screen. We'll lift it up a little bit here so we can see it. You lift it up, and basically all you do is just snap it into place. Just like that, do the same for the other leg. When taking him apart, do note that there is on the inside of the thigh here, there's a little tab on a little spring-loaded button on each side. Push that, and the legs will come right off. We don't want to force them off. Make sure you push this little spring release to release them. Go, stay together. Yep. Trying to get them balanced here so we can zoom out and show them off. There we go. Okay, if you want to lean back a little bit, that's fine. But there he is, super huge by himself. We're not done yet. I just want to give you an idea of what he's looking like so far. So let's come up. Can we get any higher? Let's see. Yeah, there we go. So you come up here to attach this. You can do it without extending the support strut I'm about to show you, but the instructions do say like it will stay on okay. But there's a little strut up here in the shoulder that you want to fold down, and that tab is going to go into this slot right here, just to give it a little bit more structural support, so it's not relying solely on these little tabs in the slots. So this can go on either shoulder. Both shoulders have the support. We just slide these slots onto those tabs. Just getting him, there we go. And there he's got his arm shield. The extra pieces that we still don't have accounted for are this piece and the crane arm, both of which go up here in the shoulder. So, come on, stand. The crane arm this little peg hole fits right over. There's 2 peg holes up here in the shoulder. So you just take it and plug it in there. So it stores right there. And then this piece, these little cutouts, fit right over some tabs. Let's see if I can get this just a little higher. Some tabs up here on the edges. The tabs that slot into the front end of the jet. So you just kind of put this up here. And again, it friction holds in place. Again, if you're not using the base mode, both of those parts can be stored somewhere. Once that's done, you take his gun. It has a little slot thing on the back. You just slot it into his hand. And there you have one very impressive, very large, 15-inch tall double evil Overlord. We're not done yet, but showing them off. Come on, you don't have to bounce like that. Oh no, I guess we didn't leave it back like this. And we did. We have his power pilots. What would Overlord be without Power Masters? So we've got Giga and Mega. And they transform same way that their Power Baser guy does. You just fold these up, plug them in, turn them into little engines that could. Like that. And like that. Make sure his fists go into the little hollow space on his thigh. They've got little rotating heads. Forgot to show off their posability, but you pretty much saw it. If they can fold up into like this, they're pretty posable. So yeah, here are the 2 engines. You open up these panels, open up these small little black panels. They're going to help support them in there. And you see there's little tabs on their legs that are going to tab into these slots up here. So you tab it in, and you fold this little piece in to help hold it in place. Tap the other guy in, or I guess the girl in. Fold that in. So you can have them, that just helps prevent them from falling back out. And you can leave them with the panels open if you want to display them like that. What's cool is that there's enough room here. They've designed it, there's enough room that if you want to fully close these panels, you can. So it's entirely up to you how you want to display them. But also, like old school Power Masters, if you push them in, well, he's got an ab crunch there that was keeping that, but like this little gun folds out, does not extend to any barrels, but that's okay. And then push this out, and little missiles pop out. So he's actually got his Power Master activated weapons, which is really cool. Man, it's hard to believe that we've gotten to this point. He's actually remarkably intuitive to transform. Like, it's not difficult. He's big, he's chunky, he looks awesome. Like, I mean, like I said, he's 15 inches tall, he's very chunky, he's very imposing, and it's just a really nice. He's an incredible display piece, and he's still super fun to play with. Like, his size does not hinder. I mean, like, with this size, they could have added a lot more little greebly detail bits or overly complicated transformations just to be fancy, but he does what he needs to do, and he's not overly difficult, so he's still fun to pick up and transform and turn into a tank and turn into a jet. Even the base mode, like, everything comes together very easily, and he's not a chore to transform between modes, which is amazing, on top of the fact that he's just a really great looking Overlord for your shelf. Posability, go ahead and close these up. Like I said, and push these back in. He's got a ball-jointed head, so he can look all around, and then the neck's on a hinge as well. He's got ab crunch. Not a whole lot of it, but he does have some ab crunch there. He's got dual hinge shoulders, which can support, like both his feet and his shoulders can support having the shield on either arm. Dual hinge elbows that can fold up pretty decently. Bicep swivel on each side. Individually articulated fingers that every finger, every knuckle can bend, which I think we've come to expect from Fans Hobby at this point. He's got a waist swivel, which moves freely. hips that ratchet in both directions. Thigh swivel there. Dual hinge knees that again come up well past 90 degrees, as well as ankle tilt and then ratcheting ankles forward and backward. So you've got a lot of really good support. Oh, just knocked this ramp off. But good support, good posability. Actually, leg it twist. Come on. And just like I said, some massive and awesome shelf presence. Now I'm just trying to get him to balance himself again. He's at 15 inches tall to the tips of his antenna. A little taller if you go to the tip of his shield. Don't worry, we're going to get a better angle on this here in a minute. But all in all, like, totally worth it. Like, this is probably the most fantastic figure that they have put out yet. And they've put out some pretty good stuff. Let's do some quick size comparisons here to wrap this up. We're going to zoom out a little bit. But with other Overlords that I have, here he is with both Iron Factories and Titan's Return Overlord. So you can see how much bigger he is than them. Real quick, since he's here, here he is with Siege Megatron, Voyager Megatron. Pretty intimidating. Certainly not to the same scale that they were in IDW. And it's the Shattered Glass version, because that's the one I have. But here he is with Fans Hobby's own Power Master Prime Power Baser. So we can get both of them in here in the shot. So even if you have Power Baser, you know what a big chunk he is. And Double Evil is a mite chunkier. So yeah, very cool. Very happy to have him. Gonna have to find a place of super honor to display him because he's so freaking fantastic. But there he is. Fans Hobbies Double Evil. He's so cool. Alright, one last thing that I forgot to show off. He also comes with a sticker sheet that one gives Double Evil a slightly more G1-esque look, as well as some stickers for Power Baser. So if you're looking for something like that, I haven't stuck them on there yet. I may do a quick update when I do decide to put these stickers on, but he does come with a sticker sheet.